we talk about how to overcome anger and hatred. And it's something that is everybody familiar with, isn't it? So the Buddha said, he said, greed is less blamable and it's difficult to remove. Anger is blamable and it's easy to remove. So you see, don't worry, you see. So ignorance is very blamable and it's very difficult to remove. Because of ignorance, that's why we have greed and hatred. So that's why ignorance is very blamable and very difficult to remove. And why is it that when the Buddha said that, greed, that normally is less blamable? Because greed is normally, we have greed because it's something pleasant, And, like for example, no one will get upset with you if like certain things, you crave for certain things, isn't it? It's normal, But only when you get upset, you get angry, when, people don't like an angry person, isn't it? Then that's why the Buddha actually, greed, the anger itself, hatred actually is not the cause of that. It's just the predominant, we can see the anger. But the anger is a byproduct of craving. Greed, it comes from the craving, when we can't get what we want, So we got upset. So that is the cause of our suffering. This is the cause of why we are here. So you see, like in this, the fourth noble, the second noble truth, is come from craving, our craving. When we can't get what we want, we got very angry and upset. But most people, when they deal with anger, because you don't want to be someone that angry and upset, and it's also very unpleasant, Then something that no one like to be. Any one of you here like to be an angry person? You don't like to be an angry person, isn't it? So then you feel really bad, immediately when you have the anger, you think that this is something bad, unpleasant. Most people, they don't know how to deal with it skillfully. Most people have the tendency to suppress, to push it down. And this is the easiest way, Of course, at the beginning, yes, you can do that, You can use willpower, you push it down. But how far that you go, with willpower. Because if you keep pushing down, when to a point that you cannot push down anymore, then you flare up. Like a bomb, it just explode, we can't handle anymore. So because this is not a skillful way of dealing with anger. Of course, people have many unskillful way of dealing with anger. Some people use dealing anger with sometimes because anger also becomes sometimes like and fear also is an anger. Is a type of ill will, anger, because sometimes there is a loss of control, and then we have lots of fear also when we have a loss of anger, and then we got beyond control, and there's a fear coming, followed by fear. And then after that, we become fear of the fear. You're so afraid of this fear coming, And most people that they don't know how to deal with the anger skillfully, and most people, they like to suppress it. And actually, suppressing anger is the most dangerous way of dealing with anger. Because when you can't, if you can't, suppress anymore, you explode. I remember one of our supporters that the couples come. I think they've been here for twice, been to the monastery twice, and both of them, they both are doctors. So actually, one day the wife actually killed the husband, and the wife really don't know how it's happened, because actually, the husband has been really, abused her all this time, and she's someone like like because of have not migrate to Australia, and she don't have friends, and she doesn't know how to seek for help, how to deal with it, and she's been abused and been abused for quite a few years, and getting worse and worse, and then she's been suppressing it, and she doesn't know how to deal with it, and then until the point that she explodes, and she really and actually, she's only sentenced for a few years because of she have the evidence that how she got lots of abuse from the husband, and a lot of the husband being very abusive, to her, and she been like suppressing it, and then to a point that actually she said she really completely blank, and she really that moment she really don't know what she's doing. Then she cannot recall what happened. It's just that by the time she realized it, she already killed her husband. Because of the suppressing, and then the moment then we overcome by anger, we are insane in that moment. It's really insane. That's why Ajahn Chah said, it's hardly people don't get enlightened. It's not because people do horrible things. We don't get enlightened because of small little things. Sometimes it's especially those underlying tendencies. It seems like subtle. If you don't know how to deal with it, you don't deal with it skillfully, it builds up. It's built up, keep building up. When we suppress our emotion, this time, if we react, we suppress it, and then it make it more difficult for next time to deal with, because you add more energy, you're adding more fuel. When you suppress it, you react. Actually, that is not a very skillful way to deal with with anger. And of course, sometimes people use others way to deal with anger or the irritation, agitation. Or sometimes people go through like a very common things like we have some people come for counseling because of they go through like a lot of abuses, some from childhood, some from maybe the grown-up adult, maybe from the partners, Then because of the trauma, then normally they have this, usually people will develop that OCD, they become very obsessed with things. And one of my supporters that she used to come, I know her since when she's having this problem for a few years, but she's getting much better. And she's keep cleaning, because this is a way of running away from this unpleasant emotion, this agitation, this irritation, because when she clean, so she have other things to do and keep herself occupied. And sometimes she don't stop cleaning, she couldn't stop herself cleaning. And she's been obsessed, This is one of the way, they use this as a way to deal with her emotion, and especially things that we don't like to face. Normally, unpleasant feelings, most people would like to run away from, dealing with these unpleasant feelings, because it's unpleasant. So we don't like to face it. So it doesn't mean that we don't face it, we don't look at it, it will go away. It won't go away. It will be there. It will be there. So the best way is to really to face it. But of course, it's not easy, because sometimes those emotions can be very intense. And it's not easy to deal with. I mean, easy to set and done, to face it, to deal with it. But it's not easy to deal with. And I remember there was a man that he's a very angry man, always get upset and shouted at his wife, and got very easily angry man. But the wife always, like whenever he got upset, the wife always keep calm, never react. And then one day the husband asked the wife, he said, how come, I've been sometimes like, shouting at you and get upset with you and angry with you, and it seems like you don't react. So how did you do that? How did you manage to do that? Then the wife said, so each time you get upset with me, so I will clean the toilet. So then the husband said, so by getting, what is to do with cleaning the toilet, with dealing with, that not to get upset with me, with my anger? He said, because each time I clean the toilet, I use the toothbrush to do it. But this is not recommended, okay? So be careful, you hide when you get upset, you hide your toothbrush next time. If not, they use it to clean the toilet. And people find all ways to deal with that, And then of course, you see, we have even I met some young teenagers that self-harm. I can see they cut a lot. They keep cutting themselves because the mental suffering is greater than the physical suffering. So when they have pain in the body, they take away the attention from the mind to the bodily, so they only focus on the pain, on the body, but the cut is less. So for them, then it's a way to escape too, but it's not a skillful way, Then you get addicted to that, sometimes we become also obsessed, so you develop this OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, and you can't stop. I have one young boy, so poor thing, he cannot stop cleaning until he's so tired also he want to clean. He was so tired. Like the kind of, because you become like addicted to that. It's an addiction becomes, and also and then you have another problem. You solve one problem and you use this way to run away from dealing with that unpleasant feelings, and you have another problem. There's some people very obsessed. Some people obsessed with, everything has to be in order. Everything, like some have a particular order. Maybe some to the extent that they can't even set OCD. They have to set CDO. It's some people really obsessed, with that, because, and then actually it's not a good way, But because of people couldn't find any way to deal with it. So then they find their own way to deal with that, because they know that this is something that is very painful to face, especially unpleasant feelings, So the best way actually is to face it, to look at it, and then that's the way to resolve. So each time you're running away, each time we suppress it, actually we are reinforce that tendency, and it becomes more and more intense. That's why you see some people, that they can kill someone because of small little things. Sometimes it's just the trigger. It's not the person, Sometimes it's just the trigger, because it's been building up. It's been cooking, It's been cooking, and then who is the one that's unlucky, who lit the bomb, and it will just explode. Actually, it's nothing to do with that, Sometimes with similar situation also will be the trigger. And some of the things that this person had been building up, a lot of emotion, this unwholesome emotion, and this anger coming out, agitation coming, and they keep to suppress it, and then you keep building up, to a point that you can't hold anymore, and then anyone come along to press this button or accept anything, the person, sometimes we think that we wouldn't do, I wouldn't do such a terrible thing. You think that we would not kill anyone. You think so, because of the underlying tendency is there, because the greed is there, the anger is there. Given the condition we do it, because you allow that, you give the condition. For example, like the wheat, if you keep watering the wheat, you give fertilizer, the weeds will grow. It's the same thing. The defilements, if you give the condition, the right condition, it flare up. That's why sometimes it's important that, because some people, they're not aware of that. So at least sometimes if you're aware that you're angry, this is something that you have to work on. It's still not too bad, You still try to find a skillful way to deal with it. At least it's still like the Buddha said, you're still wise to the extent, Like the Buddha said, if a foolish if someone who knows their own foolishness, he's still wise to the extent. If someone who is foolish, he thinks that he's wise, is indeed a fool, So that's why at least, that sometimes people come to me, I have lots of anger, I know that this is something I need to work on. And I say, sadhu, it's good. At least you know that you have anger. And some people, they're so angry, they still say that I'm not angry. And they're so angry, they're like, I'm not angry, And it was, you don't even know that you have anger. And then, people not admit that, because people think that it's something bad. that if I have anger, that's why sometimes people, I say, what do you expect? If you have no anger, you're already anagami, you're already fully enlightened, That's why something is important that one of the way to help us that if we pay attention to our body, we have the awareness on our body, actually we can feel, sometimes even the subtle agitation, irritation, actually itself is anger is coming. But most people tend to ignore when there's subtle agitation, irritation. But actually, there is a subtle anger and hatred coming. But most people think that, it's okay, they just push it. That's why it's good that we nip it on the bud. When we pay attention, we feel that there's some agitation and irritation, and that is the anger coming. They're already a sign, They're already sending a signal that, you have to deal with it. But most people try to push it away because we think that it's okay. It's just agitation, it's just irritation. But agitation, irritation, except actually is the subtle hatred is there coming. That's why it's good that we pay attention to this because it's easier to deal with it when it is not baked. It's just a fire when it is not baked, it's easy to put out, isn't it? Like for example, if you started, before your illness get, worse, then if you treat treat it, it's healed easily, If you treat your illness, have treatment earlier, earlier stage, like cancer, if you treat it in early stage, then, the survival rate is very high. But if you wait until that, it spread all over the body, it's very difficult to heal, it's to recover. That's why the same thing. That is, sometimes people think that it's okay, actually it's not okay, So you just aware that, yes, this is how I feel. I feel agitation, irritation, and not to push it away. Just stay with that and just to know that this is how you feel. And actually, if you just observe that agitation, irritation, you just let it be, you just observe, and actually it will subside by itself. But if you push it away, actually next time it becomes more and more intense because you reinforce that. However, they say it's come from craving. They says, I remember, because the craving is the source, and anger, hatred actually is the byproducts of craving. So when we cannot get what we want, but of course, what we see, anger is a predominant that we notice. But because of the craving is very subtle, very difficult for us to pick up because it's more subtle. That's why the Buddha said, greed is less blamable and it's difficult to remove. But anger is more obvious. Be obvious, because it's unpleasant. And normally pleasant feelings we tend to, we tend to hold on to that, and we want more. We want more of that, And then especially we always get our way. We try to manipulate, we try to control, and we always get our way, and we fulfill our greed, we fulfill our desires. Then next time is build up. You keep building up. So when you can't get what you want, my goodness, you really can't handle. You can't handle it. You see some. I think the other day I saw a week ago, and that boy just very young, I think how old, the mother just take away his handphone or something like that. He's got so upset he jumped down from don't know how many stories. Because for them very frustrated if they can't get what they want. The frustration, the anger, come because we can't get what we want. That's why I remember when I talk about that, the intensity of our anger actually is the same as how much desires, how the greed, actually the same, the intensity. And then someone hear that and said to another person, oh, luckily I'm not angry. That means I have less craving. I said, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. It doesn't mean that you're not angry, doesn't mean that you have not anger, It's just the condition is not there, It's just the condition is not there to trigger your anger, because you get what you want. Of course, you're happy. You're feeding it, and then you think that you have no anger. You think that you're not craving. I said, I didn't say that. I said, how come? You see, some people tend to misinterpret what I try to say, that however much you're craving, that is the results of the craving, that you got very frustrated, because if you always feed our desires, always get what we want. You see, we have someone told me that they come from a very wealthy family. He said, because of the brother being spoiled, always get what he wants. The moment he can't get what he wants, like he said, like the sister gets something, if got a new car, even though he got a 2 or 3 cars that is really good car, he still want another one. It's just the one thing. And then if the family said, no, you can't have it, and he will really flare up. He will smash everything because he can't get what he wants. Because throughout, he's been the way they brought up, the family spoil him. The mother spoil him, always give what he wants. So when someone always, get what they want, when they can't get what they want, they feel very angry and very frustrated. That's why sometimes it's good that when we crave for something, we can't get it, it's good. We remind ourselves, we don't always get what we want. We don't always, this is how we try to manipulate, we try to control, and try to make things away, go our ways, and then we try to find our way, and we try to manipulate. And that's actually we are feeding it. So sometimes you observe, that sometimes when you crave, you can see when you crave for something, you can feel that it's a lot of tension in your body. You feel that you're holding on. That's why to deal with that, not only to face it, to stay, to sit with that emotion, and we also have to develop certain other qualities, the antidotes to hatred. It's only, like, yes, meditating will help. When we sit down and meditate, it will help. But it's also not enough. We need to develop some other qualities. This the antidotes to the hatred. Of course, first of all, yes, we have to face it. We have to deal with it. Sometimes, whatever unpleasant feelings, it's not going to stay. I remember when the first time many years ago, and the first time I stay in the cave, and I remember the first night I was really terrified. I was so much fear. I was lying there because the cave, then I was, it's like a platform. I slept and I faced the wall of the cave, I sit sleep. Then I feel like, because of the cave, they have some wind blowing, and I feel that someone is walking towards me. Then I don't dare to turn around. I just holding myself. And I use a blanket to cover my head, cover my head. Then I was very, very fearful. I was really terrified. Then I was thinking, what am I going to do? Because I feel like this person someone coming towards me and standing and looking at me, but I didn't dare to turn over and look at it, but I just face it and cover my head like that. And I was thinking, what am I going to do? I was very, very fearful. And then that moment, I just remember, I read a suttas when the Buddha, when he was still a bodhisattva, that he lived in the jungle, how he deal with fear. So he said, when fear arises, if you are walking, you continue to walk. If you are sit, you continue to sit. So if you're lying down, you continue to lie down. So then I was lying down, so I continued this posture, I didn't move. Because he said, stay. Then I stay. I stay with that, and I just be with that fear. And my fear come up to that really maximum point that is so fearful. I can't even express how fearful, And then to a point that is the fear hit the maximum point. Actually, the moment it hit the maximum point, it just subside, drop. And the moment that fear, subside, and I feel very peaceful because I face it. and because letting go actually is to let it be. But most of us, we try to intervene, we try to do all sorts of things, try to make it go away. But letting go is letting it be, because I let it be, I let the fear be. Because the fear will not continue to go up and non-stop, isn't it? They have a maximum point. When it comes to a maximum point, it's bound to subside. Actually, but a lot of people can't wait until the maximum point. We try to do it, then actually, it was a very good experience. It's a very good insight that I learned. That really, after that, I can deal with fear much more easier. When fear arises, okay, fear coming. And then the moment I acknowledge, actually, it just subsides very quickly. And I remember that night, after that fear subsided, I was very peaceful, very peaceful. And actually, it's very nice, very peaceful, very calm, incredibly peaceful. Then I started to listen. Actually, it's the wind. The wind, the leaves, when the wind blows, the rustling sound of the leaf, but because of the fear, you will interpret, you will hear, you want to hear what you want to hear. So you will hear that if someone is walking towards it, but actually it's just a leaf, And then, because in the cave, sometimes there are lots of water dripping. So we use bucket to collect the water when it's drip, So of course, some they're a little bit empty. So when the dripping, the sound will be different, So when the water drip on the bucket, it's still like boom, ooh, like. But I interpret as a way someone had the sound, like, But actually, it's just the walking. It's just the water dripping. But how I interpret that way, You see, you because when you're in fear, so this is how our mind, we have the imagination. We hear things, But actually, it's just because of fear, and then it's our projection, and then I hear all these things. Then when I become peaceful, actually, then I get up and I look. Actually, it's nothing. Then I even walk out, have a look, and then I'm not afraid anymore. So actually, it's a very good experience. And then I understand that that is a very good insight, that whatever unpleasant feelings, I know that it's not going to stay. Because we started to build up the confidence, the faith that, it's not going to stay. But we like to run away. So when we run away, actually we make it worse. So if we pretend that it's not there, we make it worse. So I remember a few times, even when I was in Thailand, I think at some point that I'm the only one stay there, everybody left, Then actually the Wapanaracha, the women area, actually is an old graveyard. Actually, you can see all this, Then I'm the only one there. I'm the one staying there. And then the kuti, and then you have to walk out to go to toilet, especially midnight. I remember sometimes it's heavy rain, and then thunderstorm, and then you need to go to the toilet, and then you need to walk out, Especially I remember that before I moved, I lived the other side. There is no electricity at all. Even the toilet, no electricity. And then when I walk in, and I open, I see someone in front of me. Then I say, "What is that?" And then I look. Actually, it's myself. Because it's a mirror. Because you open the door, the mirror right in front of me. Then, I holding the torch like that, And actually look quite scary. Look very scary. Actually, it's myself, Looks like that. And I was really, myself, And it's really pitch dark. And actually, I've been like by myself. And then no one there. I'm the only one there, And then sometimes, of course, you hear all sorts of sounds and things like that. And slowly, of course, fear will arise. But actually, it's helped me a lot. And I remember once also, the weather is really bad, and it was so, because the kuti that I stay is just a very thin. It make up of like those the roof actually is make up of those iron thin roof. It's very and actually, and then you can see that the the lightning, the thunderstorm, actually, and especially the kuti that I stay, that you have a door here, and then this side of the wall can open. They don't have windows, because if I close it, it will be very hot. So I have to open one side. So, and then these two sides is a wall, and then the back is like coming in my door, and both side wall, and this side I have to open up, and then you have a stick to open up. And then the kuti is really small. Even I'm not a big person. Actually, sometimes I sleep, with my leg facing the other side. Sometimes when it's heavy rain, I feel that the shower, the rains get into my leg. Actually, if someone stand there, can pull my leg, someone stand out there can pull my leg, And yeah, it's a very good experience of how you sometimes if the fear comes out and you just look at it and slowly you get, then that's why sometimes people ask me when I stay in, Dhammasara, someone you come and stay with us before. Sometimes we used to walk back, we walk in the bush, dark, really dark, midnight also we walk. We got used to it, and then some people really scared, And this is how I say once you overcome that, and then you have confidence, to overcome the fear. Actually, the best way to face it, to look at it, because it won't stay. It will bound to subside. And there's one way, because yes, sometimes we have others like skillful means, like in the suttas the Buddhists mentioned about you reflect, you reflect on contemplate, reflect, or you don't pay attention on that. That is only give you a temporary measure, But the best way, especially when we are so angry. So we have to stop our anger, isn't it? If not, we will ended up killing someone. So that's why we have to stop our anger. But to really have to deal with it, to really uproot that, then we have to really face it. And also we have to look at it's also come from our craving, That's why it's because the source the cause is the craving. That's why we have to develop the antidotes to hatred by develop some of the qualities. For example, the 4 right effort, we develop metta. So metta is not that you only sit there, may I be well and happy, may I be well and happy, and actually sometimes doesn't work, because sometimes we tend to use this to suppress our emotion, and doesn't work. And sometimes people, the longer they say, may I be well and happy, they really actually it doesn't work. Actually, you train yourself, you brainwash yourself. This is how you develop a good habitual pattern. First thing, get out in the morning. Deliberately, you bring out thoughts of loving kindness. What I can do for others. What I can help. What can I be of service? So you just how you develop that. You becomes, it's just naturally you would think of, you have a thoughts of loving kindness. So when you constantly have thoughts of loving kindness, so greed, evil will not really get to you, because you fill up with loving kindness, and that is one of the way, to train yourself, to deliberately bring up the thoughts of loving kindness, develop metta, and practice generosity. And generosity is also an antidote to craving, and because the craving also leads to anger, so practice generosity. That, wow, to be able to, each time you be able to give, okay, I have this opportunity to give, and develop this, become a practice generosity is also help, because generosity itself is also an expression of kindness and compassion. Generosity is not only like giving food, offering dana to monks or nuns, but you offer your time, you give up your time, and then your care, be of service. That giving itself actually is the antidote of getting, wanting. It's counteract, So we need to deliberately, we need to develop this quality to counteract, Yes, we have to face it, we have to deal with it. At the same time, we still have to develop this quality. If we don't develop this quality, you just try to face it, it's quite difficult because you don't have enough metta. You don't have enough strength. Because if someone virtuous, you keep your precepts, and then, you're someone virtuous, and you're someone, generous, and you're someone kind. And naturally, it's naturally you become more, you have the strength, to really to be able to look at these unpleasant feelings, because you need to have a happy mind to do it. Imagine if you're miserable all the time, it's very difficult, because when we miserable all the time, depressed all the time, we have no energy. We really have no energy, no strength, because the generosity helps us to arouse happiness. Happiness is energy. We have more energy. We are more energetic. So then we have the strength. Mentally, we are more strong. Then it's easier to look at, to deal with this emotion. So we have to develop our mental muscles in order to deal with this. It's only, yes, to look at it is not enough, but you have to have the strength. Because I think I'll be able to do that because I already practice, I already meditate. Even before I stay in the cave, I already practiced a few years before I live in the cave. So have a little bit of strength, If not anybody will, some people will be crazy. Not everybody can really overcome that. And that's why sometimes you don't have to memorize all the teaching. So if you are focused, if you are receptive, actually, like that time, I just remember, I remember these suttas. This is what the Buddha said, and actually it really works. It works. It's proof that it works. I follow instruction. Okay, I'm not moving, and then once I overcome that, actually makes it much easier. Later, of course, from time to time it comes out, but it doesn't I don't have fear that is very strong fear. Sometimes it's very quick. It's come out a little bit, already catch it very quickly, and it subsides very quickly. I remember another time when I was at the caravan. We say the caravan where Ajahn Mahayana stay, and Australia sometimes they're very windy, very strong wind, and I remember, and I slept there inside the caravan. I can feel the whole caravan just shake like that, and the wind keep blowing, very strong wind. Then I was thinking, oh, what happened? I said, if it's that will blow me off, because it's quite close. I think some of you been there. It's close to the cliff, isn't it? So I was thinking, what happened? It will blow me, the whole caravan will blow me off the cliff, Then I was thinking, never mind. If I die, I die. Actually, that moment I said to myself, what can I do? I have to face that moment. If I die, I die. So I said, okay, never mind. If I die, I have nowhere to go. So I said, never mind. So I go to bed, and then nothing happened. And sometimes it's really you grow, and then once you first you have that experience, you overcome that fear. And then it makes it very easy in the future when you deal with it. So that's why you have developed those other qualities like metta, generosity. Another thing that is good that to practice patience and tolerance. Have you ever noticed that when people are very impatient, they tend to get angry very easily, isn't it? because they want to happen right now, and then very impatient. That's why, to develop patience and tolerance, actually, first thing, you need to slow down. Because those people that they're impatient, they like to rush from one thing to another. They can't wait, And once, they can't get their way, they got upset. And when people are very impatient, you get angry very easily. Very easily you get frustrated, you get angry. So, slow down. That's why you learn to slow down in a daily life. So whenever you find yourself, you rush from one thing to another. Even last time when I still working, when I still a lay person, I already start practicing. So whenever I feel that I have that kind of tendency, sometimes even those, actually the work that I need to do actually is not that urgent. But because of the habitual pattern, it become a default setting, you have the habit that you rush for things. And I find myself many times want to rush. And then whenever I pick myself doing that, I stop. I just stop. I'm not doing it, I stop. And I stop. Actually, stop for a second. Stop for a moment, It doesn't last you half a second. But if you constantly do that, then you train your mind to stop. If you don't train your mind to stop, you will just constantly, you will follow your habitual pattern. We just react impulsively. And because the mind's so quick until when you realize it, you're already done, That's why you learn to stop. So whenever you find yourself rush from one thing to another, you just stop. Stay, just pause for a second. It doesn't affect your work, isn't it? You stop for a second. Is it going to affect your work? No. Oh, you need only one moment, 1 second. 1 second is long, 1 second is quite a long, Then at least you stop that second. Imagine if each time throughout the day, 1 second, 1 second, it's just like each drop of water, if it drip into the bucket, and then the whole day, after one whole day, it's full. This is how you train yourself. Because if not, your mind just continue to react, and you cannot, very difficult to change the habit. That's why we have to change our habit throughout. And we have to apply that in our daily life. And then especially mornings, try to get up a little bit early. Try to slow down. Try to spend a little bit of time eating your breakfast. Sometimes I see people eat so quick and then they just stuff in and then they just, I remember when I was working that time, also the same thing. We eat so fast, you just keep stuff all inside the mouth and then you just swallow and you go. And then when I started to practice, I spend times, I chew my food. Actually, it's good for your digestion. It's healthier if you spend time, sit down, slowly chewing, and you can enjoy your food, rather than, even you have the most delicious food that you have, but you're not able to taste it also. You just stuff it in and swallow it. So, so you just slow down and just, aware of, that what you're eating. I remember, talk about eating and chewing. I remember there was a lady staying in our monastery. And one day, someone said that, hey, you better not to take one of the I think some the food, I forgot what food is that. It's already off, ask us not to take it. And then the other lady said, oh, I didn't know. I only focus on chewing. It's no good, isn't it? You're not even aware that the food is already off, She only focused on chewing. So actually, you're not concentrating. You're aware. Like today I explained that, mindfulness is just like a gatekeeper. You stay, but you know what's happening. You know everything. Each one of the people go in and go out, and you know how they look like, the size, how tall, everything, but you're clear, you stay, you don't move, but you're aware. It's not that you're not aware, So yeah, then actually this is help you to develop your our mindfulness, and try to stay present, develop present moment awareness. We apply this in our daily life, because we constantly run away from present moment awareness, because it's become a habit. And when it's become a habit, and it's like an addiction. It's very difficult to change, even though we know that is something that is bring us harm, and it's not something that is really skillful. But we can't stop ourselves doing it because it's just like a default setting. So old habit die hard. It's very difficult to change a habit. That's why we have to apply this in the daily life. So the practice is not only restrict on the cushion. And some people think that the practice is okay. Oh, I listen to Dhamma and I meditate. I'm practicing the Dhamma. And then throughout the whole day, they're so mindlessly do things, they're not mindful and they're not present and they're very selfish, And then they think, it's not. Actually, the practice is throughout. The moment you open your eyes, there is all practice every single moment. In this moment, how you deal with the situation, do you aware of that? Do you aware that this, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, how you relate to the situation in every single moment, every situation we're in. And that is a practice. It's not only sitting on the cushion. You think you just listen to a few Dharma talks and then read some books and then you sit on the cushion and then that's it. I'm practicing Dharma, And then someone becomes very selfish, and not kind at all, And that is not, because the practice as you purify, is a whole path of purification. As your mind becomes purer and purer, you are naturally kind. It's natural. It's a cause and effect. You're naturally kind. You naturally become more compassionate. You look at children, normally they're very kind, isn't it? They're compassionate, isn't it? Because they're pure, As your mind becomes purer and purer, we are naturally kind and compassionate. It's, and then you're naturally wise. And then, of course, you're naturally happier, It's come naturally. That's why we have to put in the causes, So that's why the practice is throughout. Before you sit on the cushion, it's throughout every day. It's everything. It's a lifetime practice, It's no such thing. A lot of people think that, I put in effort, I practice hard, I force myself to sit a lot so that I get enlightened. So after that, then I can goyang kaki, then I can enjoy my life. No such thing, No such thing, Then like the fairy tale, happy ever after, no such thing, So that's, and also, develop this quality of contentment. Because why? Because we are not contented. We are not content, Because we want more and more. Like today, someone, like interview said, they're peaceful already. Then you get bored because you want more peace. It's not enough. The peace is not enough. You want more. So the moment you want more, you stop there. Because the moment you crave, your mind moves. So content is good enough, So we have to remind ourselves, first thing, we remind ourselves, if we don't learn a lot, at least we learn later. If we don't learn, if we don't learn later, at least we're not sick, If we are sick, at least we're still alive, I remember when I was when my father passed away, after 3 months, my brother passed away. And that time I was in Thailand. And that time I reflect a lot on mindfulness, on death. And I remember every day when I wake up, actually I feel so blessed that I'm still alive. I'm so blessed I'm alive, I'm so appreciate each day that I have, because we tend to take it for granted, Sometimes we reflect on that, how lucky we are. Have the opportunities to do retreat. Some people don't even have the opportunity to listen to the Dharma. Even the Buddha also never heard, So you have the chance, to listen to the Dharma, and you have the chance to practice, and being a human, Actually, all of you here, we all here have been doing a lot of, good things in order to be here, So we reflect on that and really appreciate that, be grateful, develop this gratitude, contentment, because this is counteract, antidotes to craving, because the craving lead to this frustration, anger. So that's why we also have to develop all this quality and the antidote to this to counteract, because it's not enough that you just meditate. It's not enough. They said the whole path of practice is Noble Four Path, right livelihood, your sila, right, your wisdom. So we need to have a little bit of wisdom to start off with, So a little bit of wisdom to start off with, to have the right views, right intention, right action, right speech, and right livelihood, right effort. We put in effort, And meditation is only one factor. So we have to take up the whole path. So lots of people think that, only if I meditate, I read suttas, I listen to Dharma talk, that I practice Dharma. No, throughout. Every single moment is practice. So there's no such thing that you have no time to practice. Every single moment is practice. You can practice every single moment. Every now and then you can practice. Whatever comes out in this moment, you just look at it, okay, this comes out, And because the more you try to push it away, it will be counterproductive. I remember there was just a couple of months ago, I think before rains, there was a lady, I was in Dhamma giving Friday night talks, and she came to me. She said, I'm just going through a divorce. And then she found it very difficult because she constantly still think of her ex. Then she said she would keep herself fully occupied. She go for dancing class, yoga, meditation class, all sorts of things, to keep herself really full and fully occupied, but so that she would not think of her ex. So I said, I can guarantee you think of him more. I think the harder you try, the worse. I said, it's okay, so what, you think of him. I said, this person, you live with this person for this all these years. It's natural that it's in your memory. It's nothing wrong. So whenever you think of it, very interesting, I still think of him. It was upside, isn't it? I said, okay, well, it's interesting, yeah, I still think of him. It's a subside, isn't it? If you letting go is not getting rid of things. Letting go is letting things be, Acceptance is letting go. It's okay. We allow things be. But the more you try to push it, I told her, I said, it doesn't work this way. I said, the harder you try, the worse. I said, you think of him more. I said, if you keep thinking, I'm not going to think of him, I'm not going to think of him. I said, so what? If you think of him, so what? It's not a crime that you think of him, I said. Isn't it? I said, it's okay that you think of him, Why? Because I think maybe he got a lot of aversion towards her ex. So she said, I don't want to think of this person because each time I think of this person, I have ill will towards this person. But this is not the way. You make it even worse, It's okay, you look at it, okay, You this person, okay, I still think of him. And then if he had done something wrong to you, you just forgive him. If you find yourself that you very difficult to forgive him, so you still forgive yourself for unable to forgive him, I remember there was another lady, she is the one having an affair with another guy. And then, of course, and they go through separation. And then she told me that it's really bothered me because my husband, he don't love me enough because he cannot forgive me. Then I look at him. I said, oh, because he said that yes, I have done. He realized that yes, it's not a good. He has done something wrong, and then he said that he asked for forgiveness, and the husband find it very difficult. Then it just temporarily under separation, So then she said to me that it's really bothered me because I feel that my husband don't love me enough because he cannot forgive me. So I said, how come you expect someone to forgive you? Then I said, why don't you forgive him for not being able to forgive you? And sometimes it's said and it's easy to say and done, isn't it? Because it's also difficult for her husband to just forgive, And then she got upset some more, and they said that because you don't love me enough, because you cannot forgive me. It's okay. It's just okay. We forgive and let go. So each time we recognize, acknowledge, accept. It's okay. Accept that. And I still have anger. It's okay. Sometimes people feel bad if they still have anger. They feel bad about themselves. Then they beat themselves up. But if they still have anger and they become counterproductive, so we forgive ourselves, we forgive others. Then we let it be, let go. And you have to keep doing that. And it will still keep coming back, because even we don't react, we don't feel it, it will still come back. But the intensity of that, your reaction and the emotion become less and less intense. It become weaker and weaker, and eventually will stop. It's just like the simile of the kicking of the ball. The ball will continue to spin if you continue to kick the ball. But if you stop kicking the ball still spin. But eventually, if you continue not to kick the ball, not to react, the ball will stop by itself. It stops by itself. But we sometimes we tend to control, you interfere. So actually, it's very difficult not to do anything. Actually, the practice is very simple. All you need to do, not to do anything. Whatever comes out, you let it be. You don't do anything, it will subside by itself. But of course, it's very difficult because we've been conditioned. It's very simple, but it's difficult. But it's doable and it's possible. So remember the positive, be positive, it's possible and it's doable. Even though it's not easy, it's difficult, and actually it's possible and it's doable. It only takes time. So that's why sometimes people said to me, how do I know whether I have progress? Sometimes people feel frustrated. Oh, I still feel this way. I still have this emotion. And then I don't know when I'm going to finish off my karma, and I don't know, and I feel very frustrated. It seems I have no progress. Then I will ask the person, I said, so how do you feel like a few years ago and now? So like those things that used to bother you, how is it like now? Then she said, oh, much better. Last time it used to bother me long time now. It's shortened. Then I said, look, you have already shortened your suffering, isn't it? I said, that is a progress. How much suffering, that you already lessened, but you still think that it's not good enough. That is a problem. You think that it's not good enough, and then we try to control, we try to manipulate, we try to interfere. All we need to do is just don't have to do anything. Ajahn Chah used to say, sit there and you wait, the mango will drop on your lap. So that's why, but once you have go through that, when you stay with that unpleasant feelings, unpleasant emotion, once you overcome that, then there you started to develop your faith and your confidence in your practice, because you understand that it will not stay. But until you have that experience, it's very difficult. Because especially the things that you don't like, it seems that 1 second is very long. I remember even one of the nuns said to me, even how many times you and Ajahn Brahm said, stay, 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 and I'm still not convinced. Because I still think that I can use other ways, because it's unpleasant. Then now I started to see that truly it's really you have to stay. Then I said, you can train yourself. At least you stay a little. Maybe you stay for. I said maybe stay for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Then if you still you can't stay with that, then only you can let go. Maybe you can start to do some breathing in, breathing out exercise, but try to stay with that. And she said to me, 15 minutes, 5 minutes enough. 5 minutes also very long with unpleasant feelings, unpleasant emotion. She said 5 minutes is very long, It's true. It's something unpleasant. You can't even stand even for 1 second, isn't it? Let alone you have to stay. But normally I think I don't know how long I stayed last time. I just know that I was really, really fearful to the max that it just subside. So I don't know how long it takes. So no matter how long it takes, you just stay. But of course you have to strengthen your mind, develop your strength in order to be able to stay with the unpleasant feelings. So other qualities. So I offer this for tonight talks. I offer this for Dharma reflection. May this teaching be of benefit to all of you. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So any questions or comments?
Venerable, just now you mentioned about suppressing our anger. What if, let's say, we're at the receiving end? You see, there's an angry person venting the anger to you. If you suppress, in future, you become another angry person as well. So how I deal with it is that when I cool down enough, I have a talk with the person. Very objective talk. And if cannot get through, then be it, then I close the case. The situation don't bother me.
Okay.
But at least I make sure I speak out. I don't like to collect rubbish.
Okay.
Because I think collecting rubbish actually is building up another form of anger in future. Yeah.
Okay. So why people get angry with you, you have to angry with him. It's not your business. He get angry with you. It's his business. It's a person's business.
Especially being misunderstood sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it could be because anger situation can happen
Yeah.
because it could be misunderstanding.
Yeah.
It could be a different value.
Yeah.
But at least we talk it out,
Yeah.
Don't need to get emotion. As an adult, we don't do that. Yeah.
It's just like the Buddha said, it's okay other people to hate us and angry with us. Make sure that we don't get upset with them. So it's okay, because if the person angry with us, it's the person's business. That person suffer. So we are not get affected by the person. It's none of our business, If person get upset with me, sometimes the people get upset. Okay, you're upset with me. Okay, I walk away, and it doesn't bother me at all because if you get upset with the person, you have to deal with your emotion. That's why you have to remind yourself it's none of your business. If the person want to get upset with you, that person problem. If the person want to accuse you, of course we try to clarify. But sometimes it's the person who want to listen to you. It's the person's business also. So you have to remind yourself, none of my business. Because the Buddha said not to hate those who hate you.
No, but what I meant is that at least we speak up. We don't keep it.
Yeah.
And once I speak out, whether is it being received, but at least the problem is resolved at my end. If the person doesn't resolve, that is his own business.
Yeah. But what I'm trying to say,
but what I meant is that we don't accumulate.
Yeah.
I don't like accumulate. I don't like to cluster.
Yeah, that means you have reaction. That's why you already get upset. That's why you have reaction. That's why you have accumulating. You have to deal with it. In the first hand, it doesn't bother you. You don't have to deal with no reaction at all. To me, like, I can tell you, I have so many nuns, I don't please everybody. I know sometimes they get upset with me. I say, okay, fine. You're upset with me? Okay, carry on. You want to suffer, it's not business. You carry on to suffer, it's not my business. Because if not, I will suffer, because you cannot help it. But if people want to get upset with you, it's their problem, it's not my problem, That's why when you already react, because you need to resolve, that means you already react. You're already not happy with the person accusing you. That's right. Yeah. This is how. Yeah. I know.
I still admit I have anger.
Yeah.
But diplomatically, managementally, socially, I need to bring up my issue. At least, whether is it being resolved, but at least both of us stay calm, talk about it. If the issue can be resolved, case closed. That means it's no hard feeling, very objectively, not personal. And then we move on. Then the anger will accumulate. This, I don't know, this is my way of dealing with matter.
Okay.
But of course, I understand the underlying emotion. That is one aspect that it might trigger again in future scenario if I don't work on it. But that's a separate thing. But what I'm saying is that on a situational base, we have to be very objective as well. For work-wise, I mean, talking about work-wise,
Yeah, of course, that that you just not affected by them doesn't mean that you don't clarify. We find a right times, right place, So the Buddha said we practice right speech. We don't practice right silence. Doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you will have to keep quiet. What I'm trying to say is that we don't react to that, but doesn't mean that we don't clarify. You know, we find the right time, right place, that to tell the person to clarify, oh no, you misunderstood me. It's not this case. So after you have done that, if the person still upset with you, then it's okay, because you already did your part. I done my part. I did my part. So if you still don't accept that, you still want to get upset, because if you choose to suffer, it's your business. So I can't stop you from suffering, because if you hold on to the anger, you're upset with others. Who's the one who suffer? They are the one who suffer. But of course, out of kindness and compassion, I will explain. I will clarify. But sometimes, when this is not the right time, right place, they don't listen. They won't listen. And if they don't accept apologies, it's their problem. It's not my problem. But we always do we can always, on our part, we can do on our part, but it's also up to that person. Like sometimes, just the other day, yesterday I told you the other person was very upset because someone not accepting her apologies, and she was really disturbed and thinking, why you cannot forgive me? I already apologized. But I said, it's up to the person, isn't it? His decision. If he choose one, if he make his own choice, he want to suffer, then you can't stop him from suffering. You just have to let him be. But sometimes, most of us have that kind of tendency. I'm not saying you. Most people have that kind of tendency. If you dislike me, you hate me, that's I also hate you. They have the kind of revenge, You don't like me, that's why I also don't like you. I also hate you, because of you hate me, Then that's why rather than me looking at, it's okay, if you hate me, it's your problem, And you cannot forgive me, also it's your problem. But we do our best, on our part. We ask for forgiveness. So if the person unable to forgive us, so we forgive them for not being able to forgive us. And then we move on, And this is sometimes how we because it's against come from the sense of self, I'm already apologized, How how come you cannot forgive me? The I is so big because sometimes I used to say sometimes people ego bigger than the monastery. And and because we think that we are so important, I used to tell the nuns, I think each one of you think that you are VIP, It's not very important people. It's not very important person. It's a very idiot person. Each one of us, you know the sense of self, the ego, For example, when you look at the group photo, the person who you find yourself. You find yourself. Isn't it? The photos, group photo, who's the one that you look for? The first one you look for yourself. Me is there, This is how we all self-centered. We all have senses. Our sense of self is still that ego. It's not that it's bad, The Buddhists never said good or bad. It's sometimes the translations say evil or things. Actually, the Buddha doesn't. The Buddhists always, when they said kusala and akusala, it's something that is like wholesome and unwholesome. So the Buddha said, it's something, if you've done something that is unwholesome, it only leads you to suffering. But if you choose to suffer, it's fine, your choice, So if you do something wholesome, it leads you to happiness. So he just show you the way. This is how. But the Buddha never judged that you terrible, you bad, you do this. It's not that we have ego, we are bad. It's not about that. It's just that if we can see that this causes suffering, leads us to lots of suffering. It's not that we are bad. Because if we have no ego, we are not here. So you don't have to feel bad about yourself having ego. If we don't have ego, we are not here, So it's not about bad, because the bigger the ego, the easily we get hurt. We're harming ourselves. So it just causes suffering, It's not that we are bad, So got big ego doesn't mean that we are bad. It's not that we are bad. It's just that the bigger the ego we have, the more suffering. We suffer more, that's all. So if people choose to suffer, then fine. Each one of us make our own choice, If we continue doing unwholesome, acts that causes more suffering, then it's our own choice. So we don't judge. It's just like the Buddha said, we only speak about the Dhamma, but we don't, like for example, the Buddha said, we don't extort someone and we also don't put someone down. Like for example, someone keeping precept, we say, oh, you're keeping 5 precepts, you are the goody. Oh, you're not keeping it, you are the baddie. It's not. It's just that you keep it, you being a virtuous person, it leads you to happiness. If you don't keep the precept, actually it leads you to suffering. So he said, you only speak about the Dhamma, but we are not condemning anyone, not putting someone down or putting someone up, as someone. You just speak on the Dhamma that this is the results of that. If you do that, this is the results. So we are not judging anyone at all. That's why we learn also not to judge. Of course, we still judge, but we learn. It's a process. We practice. Slowly, and we let go. The letting go happen not overnight. It takes time. It's a lifetime practice. So, any more questions or comments?
Okay, I try not to judge. But you know how we have expectations, that there could be people with certain status or there's certain roles and responsibilities. So they might expect that, they have to go first. They have to do certain things in certain way, and they expect other people to give them that kind of respect. And what would the consequences be, having such expectation? What kind of suffering, what kind of results would it lead to?
Okay. Because sometimes when we have the expectations, that's why, and then we have disappointment. When the person don't fulfill that, we got upset, we got frustrated, we got disappointed. That is the result of that. When we're expecting things to happen and it doesn't happen, then we got frustrated.
So how do you increase the awareness that, because you are at a certain status or level already, so you do expect people to do things the way you like it to be. So how do you increase the awareness that, if people don't do it, don't so-called respect you, so how do you deal with it?
To me, is that, it's okay. To me, I personally, that if we don't demand respect, but we earn respect through our own practice, So if we want other people to respect, if I want other people to respect me, first of all, I have to learn how to respect others. But we don't demand respect, but we earn our respect. That's why we have to teach by example. Like sometimes people think that, people think that I'm the big boss, But actually, I have to be more mindful and more alert that what I'm doing, because I got many pairs of eyes looking at me. So I make sure that if I tell them you don't do this, you don't do that, I make sure that I don't do it. You set the example. I know sometimes there's some parents that ask the children don't do this, don't do that, but they themselves doing it. So you have to set the example, teaching by example. So that's why if you respect, even my grandchildren also, we respect him. He says something and I have to say sorry or whatever. After he will say. Even you cannot speak so loud. Sometimes it's not loud. It's a bit, sometimes the father speak a bit loud to him. He said, you speak so loud to me. And he said sometimes he asks the father, the mother to apologize. Because yes, you have to show that that. Because sometimes we think that just because of we are the parents, then then we just want them to respect us, but the parents never know how to respect the children. So if we want our children, how our children behave, first of all we have to behave ourselves first. So we have to set the example. You have to do it ourselves first. That's why I cannot constantly telling other people what to do, you know. First of all, I have to remind myself to be really mindful, to be really careful with what I said, what I do, because you set the example, you know. So they will not respect you if you don't set the example. That's why we cannot demand respect. We can only earn our respect through our own behavior, our own conduct. So we said just because of, it's not because I'm the abbot, then I demand respect. All of you have to respect me. No. The respect comes from our own practice. The respect comes from our own behavior and my conduct. So that's why if any one of you want, you know, the respect, we have to earn the respect through our own practice, our own behavior, but not demanding someone, you should respect me because I'm older than you, you know, or I have this status. No. It's naturally, if you are someone respectful, people will respect you. Truly will respect you. We don't have to demand. It comes naturally. So anything actually have to start from us. So if you don't want your children not to do that, so make sure you don't do it. Make sure you don't do it. So you said that. That's why it's not what you said is important. It's what the parents do is very important. So what we do is important. It's not what we said. You know, pointing finger, don't do this, don't do that, but we do all this. All the things that we ask people not to do, and we have done it all, you know. And then it doesn't work, you know. Yeah.
Thank you for the talk this evening. I understand that the solution is to watch the anger. That's how you manage it, right? But there are certain emotional triggers that once they come, it's instantaneous. You just cannot stop it. After that, you don't know what's happened. Like what you said about the wife who killed the husband. So that's one of the cases. So how do you do this kind of instantaneous triggers?
Because this one is already it's already accumulated. Because we allowed this to happen. That's why we have to. When you start to practice, you become more aware, and then this will not happen. And then it become more manageable because this lady doesn't know how to deal with it, and it keep accumulate until the point that she cannot hold anymore. That's why we have to start to practice. We have to start to slow down. Develop those qualities. We have to start to practice. Because to that point, it's already been accumulated. And it's not only one day, it's been, like this lady, been years of accumulating to that point. So the anger will not, accumulate to that point just within a short period. Actually, it's throughout. Some throughout many years, some throughout childhood, and haven't been able to resolve. That's why it's happened. So that's why now, it's never too late. We all have to start to deal with our emotions skillfully. So you have to start to deal with our emotions skillfully. Yes. So does that answer your question? That makes sense? Because you need practice. You know what I mean? You need practice. There's no like shortcut, that ever special recipes that you can just, No, you need practice, Even the Buddha right in front of you, he will have to ask you to practice. So don't get to that point that you cannot hold anymore. There's no shortcut. There's no special ingredient that you once off you have done with, But of course, there's certain way you can do, like because to the point that you overwhelm. Actually, there's time that you really you'll be overcome by the anger already. So your mind completely not stable, and your mind is just overwhelmed by that emotion. So that's why before we go to that point, that's why we have to learn how to develop, our strength, to practice to not to allow our mind to get to that point. It's very
Yeah,
sad.
but what happens after the point is crossed? It's like many of us, we already have that point already, right? So what happens now?
Huh?
You know what I mean?
So if you have that, maybe it's sometimes you cannot hold your anger. Maybe you flare up, you scold someone or whatever. Then you know that okay, now I cannot hold my anger. So sometimes that's why it's one of the way it's good that you pay attention. You be more present, because the reason why we allow that happen because we are not present. We are not aware that it's coming. If you practice present moment awareness, you apply this in your practice every day and become a habit. Actually, you feel that you know that it's coming. So you need to practice. You need to put into practice because you are not aware. That's why you allow that happen.
Okay, thank you.
So you need to practice, develop present moment awareness. Because we are not present, what's happening also we don't know. We allow that emotion overcome ourselves. So that's why the key is you have to start to develop present moment awareness, to be more aware and alert that what's going on. That's why with subtle agitation and irritation, you have to watch. Don't allow it to grow. Actually, it's coming. The agitation, irritation itself is already coming. If you let it be, if you just suppress it, it will keep building up to a point that you can't hold it. So that's why you have to watch already when you have that kind of agitation. You feel annoyed sometimes, that's the anger is already coming. So not to underestimate that, not to just brush it off and just push it away. That if you allow that, the annoyance there, you don't watch it, you just push it away, it will keep building up. Things start from small, and it started to build up. That's why whenever you feel annoyed, you feel agitation, even though you are not really angry, but you started to feel a bit agitated and irritated, that emotion is coming. So you have to watch that and not to allow that develop into anger. That feel very angry, that the point that, we got really angry and get upset with others. So just develop that mindfulness and awareness to be more aware and pay attention to how you feel. How you feel, because sometimes you can feel after a while when you practice, you can feel that you started to feel a bit of tight, then you know that, I feel a bit, then I know that this anger is coming. Then actually the moment you know that, you acknowledge that, actually it will subside, it wouldn't grow. But if you just leave it, it's just like a disease, If you have infection, if you don't treat it, it will get infected, it get really worse. Like any disease, it will spread. So that's why it's easy to deal with it when it is small. So that's why it's important that we pay attention to our bodily sensation, our feelings, be aware of how we feel this moment, and to apply that practice present moment awareness, be aware of how we feel this moment. But most people tend to just brush it off and push it away. Any more questions or comments?
Venerable, I think if the anger comes from more of like the feeling of being violated, right, in terms of whether it's your needs or your rights, it's not so much of expectation anymore. So like in the case of like whether it's at the workplace, at home, like for example the husband and the wife, right, basically under constant emotional abuse, that's obviously a violation already. And then of course there's no respect of the wife does not get any respect. And there's this idea of the power, right? That the wife is under, influence of being oppression. So when anger arises in those situations, right? It's like maybe that person feels that they do not know what best to do, or they can't do anything. They are powerless to do anything. So the anger also comes from the fact that they are in that situation. They are being in that situation. The being violated, not being respected, and having to deal with this, and there's like they're powerless to like kind of go against it. And I think that adds to the anger, and also the anger to themselves, like they can't do anything. So so in this case, I think it would be quite difficult to say that how do we practice, because I mean we can keep watching that anger, but it comes again and again because the fundamental is not right.
No, but because this lady, she completely don't know how to deal with it. She just, all she knows, she just keep quiet, just keep quiet. She's not searching for, seeking out for help, That is actually, she doesn't know. Actually, in Australia, you have lots of helpline. But now she's very good. She come out of it, and she knows, and then she started to come into the Dharma because of these incidents. And then we also help. We wrote a letter, to help her so that she not sent back to Sri Lanka. If she sent back to Sri Lanka, will be really bad for her because she can't face all the people there. But here, no one know him, and then then now she's very good. She's already out of the jail. She only sentenced for a few years because there are lots of evidence proof that she been abused and she been really violated and things like that. That's why she's only sentenced for a few years, and she already out of the jail, and now she's doing a lot of helping other women that being abused, because that time she doesn't know how to deal with it. She doesn't, because in Australia you have lots of helpline. You have this women refuge and things like that. She doesn't know how to go to look for help. She just keep it to the point that she cannot hold it. But then afterwards, when she knows that there's lots of places that you can look for help, then now she's become one of those people she help others women.
Actually, the question is more like, I'm trying to look at it in a bigger, larger context, like not just this lady. Like, because like even at the workplace, a lot of times if we are not in the position that we have decision-making position, or we have of a certain status, there might be bullying, So the idea that you're being bullied or you're being abused in some way, it's already the idea that there's some violation there's no respect given already. So, I mean, how do we deal with that kind of anger? It's not so much I think ultimately it's about getting away, like going out, getting away from that situation.
Yeah.
But the point is, when we are receiving this kind of, other than saying, oh, this is our karma, we just have to take it. We just have to take the dirt,
Okay, so actually,
how do we deal with this?
Actually, the Buddha did mention, sometimes, like sometimes you need to avoid. The Buddha also mentioned that you need to avoid. In some of the situation, sometimes like you haven't built up the strength to really deal with the situation, you need to avoid.
But for example, if let's say
unless you have strong enough, you'll be able to deal with that. It doesn't affect you, then it's okay. But if it really going to affect you, sometimes the Buddhists also say sometimes we have to remove ourselves from the situation.
Yeah.
You need to remove yourself from the situation. Actually, the Buddha did mention in one of the suttas that if you're in that situation really bad, the anger you cannot hold anymore. You have to go out. You have to remove yourself from the situation. You don't just stuck there. Unless you're strong enough, you'll be able to deal with that. It's okay. But that's why it's important that we understand ourselves. We know our strength. If we can't deal with the situation, we have to remove ourselves.
Okay. Maybe I give a simpler situation. Like there was once I was in a crowded bus, and there's this guy, this man, he was very huge. So I told him very nicely, I say, can you please not push me? My bag is heavy, I might fall. He started to in a crowded bus, started to scold me and talk very loudly, and it's like intimidative kind of approach. So at first I just kept quiet and I just said, you are shouting at me. But okay, so anyway, to simplify the whole situation, it's like, it's a situation where somebody is using their, you know, their size or their to intimidate somebody who is like, they view as less, you know, lower. So in this kind of very small, simple example, right? I mean, I can't help but feel angry because maybe there's this sense of like, oh, this person is intimidating me, and I don't like it. But the thing is, but how do we deal with this this anger that comes up? Because we cannot tell ourselves, don't be angry, because it's very naturally that we'll be angry.
You just recognize that you're angry, and you just recognize that, acknowledge that, yes, I'm angry now. This is how I feel, and then when you recognize that and you acknowledge it and you accept that this is how I feel, and it will subside by itself. But the problem is, the mind go on and on. How come you do that to me? You think that you're big. You dare to do that to me. Then of course you go on and on. You get more angry. You know, you can't let that go. That's why the letting go happen is as a process. You know, because we cannot control what other people are going to do to us. So we don't hold on to what other people have done. You know, so on your part, you have to learn to let go. So that's why to recognize, to acknowledge, accept, forgive, and let go.
So if let's say I'm no longer angry with this man, but I'm angry with myself for not being able to stand up for myself to people who are like kind of a bullying and very aggressive kind of approach. So, and I'm stuck actually, basically. So every time I should meet such a situation again, I get angry again. So I realize it's actually kind of an anger towards yourself, because you can't stand up for yourself.
Okay.
Yeah. So how does one
decide to be
deal with
kind to yourself, forgive yourself. Forgiveness. That's why sometimes one of the things that is very good, the forgiveness ceremony, sometimes because this is the self-hatred. Some people have very strong self-hatred, you know, that you get upset with yourself, you know. This is self-hatred. That's why forgive yourself. Sometimes, like some people, they lots of self-hatred, and I normally encourage them when they do meditation, before they start the meditation, they do the forgiveness. They bring those that already harmed them, those who ever harm us, we bring them to mind, and then we forgive them. So, and then also we bring those that we have harmed them, so we ask for their forgiveness. In our mind, we do it, you know. And actually, it's forgiving others actually is forgive ourselves also is being kind to ourselves. Of course, it's easy to say and done, but sometimes you cannot help it because it's non-self. Even though we know that angry with ourselves actually is harming ourselves, but we can't stop ourselves, you know, by being angry with ourselves, you know. So that's why we even that we have to forgive ourselves for being angry at ourselves. And then sometimes you find that you're unable to forgive yourself, then you have to forgive yourself for not being able to forgive yourself. Yeah, this is how the practice, because ultimately, that sometimes if we can't let that go, we are the one who suffer. If we cannot forgive, actually, sometimes because most people think that if I forgive them, the person get away. No, actually, we are the one who benefit. We are the one who, we free ourselves. Because when we hold on to that, we are not free. It's so much suffering for ourselves, you know. Then if someone cannot forgive you, you feel sorry for that person because that person suffer. Because my sister-in-law, I think long time ago when my sister-in-law, that my second brother has passed away. And she has some misunderstanding with my older brothers. I mean, they have some argument and things like that. And her anger is so strong until that for over 20 years, she cannot forgive my elder brothers. And then my second brother's on his deathbed. He's not allowed to see him. The wife not allowed my older brother to see him. So much anger. Actually, we all feel sorry for her. We didn't feel, we don't get upset with her. We feel sorry for her because we know how much suffering the person go through if the person hold on to the anger, hold on, unable to forgive. Actually, it's not something that's bad. It's just sometimes, you know how sometimes when you argue, quarrel, you said something not nice, you know. Then then actually my elder brother not allowed to see my second elder brother, and then actually from the phone he talked to him through the phone, and then the second elder brother said, "Oh, my wife not happy, you better don't come." So actually he's on his deathbed, and my elder brother called him, and he asked for forgiveness and things like that. Of course my brother forgave, but the wife cannot forgive. Like the Buddha said, some people the anger is like just on the water, you know, on the sand, you know, it just goes very easily. Some is on the sand, and some is carved in the stone. Very difficult. Actually, a lot of suffering. It's really, if you hold on to that, lots of suffering. You know, that's why we learn to let that go, you know. Because ultimately, that we are the one who suffer if we hold on to that. It's what damage, what, you know, it's already done. Cannot undo, not like Superman, you can turn back, you know. So we just let it go, it's already passed. But the problem is we keep revisiting, you know. Actually already passed, isn't it? Like for example, someone scold us that, you idiot, you stupid. And then people only scold once. And we go back, we repeat 10 times, 1,000 times, we repeat the you know, the words that someone said to, you know, if someone, you know, scold us idiot, stupid, and then we go back, we repeat 100 times, you know, or 1,000 times, you know. But people, the person only once, the person said, you know, like this is, we are the one who add on more suffering. It's just like the Buddha said, we have the second arrow. Like the wise one, only one arrow. Yeah, it's painful. Someone said something nasty to me, it hurts. Yes, it hurts. We acknowledge that. And we let it go, we forgive and we let it go. But the Buddha said, like the foolish one, we pick up another arrow, we keep poking yourself a few more times. Then this is the add-on suffering. You keep thinking about how terrible the person, how you do that to me, why this and why that, you know, and go on and on and on. This is how when the mind go on and on, it's just like you picking another arrow and continuously poking yourself many times, you know. Then this suffering is unnecessary, you know. Yes, it's not that it's not hurt. Yes, it's hurt. It's painful. Okay, we acknowledge that, you know. We recognize, we acknowledge that. Yes, it's hurt. We accept that, and we forgive and we let it be, because already done. Damage has been done, you know. So no point holding on, you know. So we move on. We let things be. That's why it's so important. That's why we practice present moment awareness, so that we don't always keep revisiting, you know, holding on to the past and then worrying about the future, you know, what's happening now, and then we worry about future. This will continue, will happen again, you know, and it might not happen, you know. But then that's why we practice present moment awareness. Bring your mind back to this present moment awareness. Then actually, when you be able to do that, actually you will realize how powerful the present moment is. Very powerful. Bring your mind back to the power of now is important. Actually, all we have is now. We don't know. The sixth in-breath come in, we don't know where is the next in-breath. We can die any time. So all we have is only this moment. So why we spend so much time about things that already passed? You know.
May I just add that just like the lady who took it out by using the toothbrush of the husband who like really shell her, right? I think it's
a joke.
And I know it's a joke, but I understand the principle behind it. It's like a lot of times when we suffer a lot of injustice, right?
Yeah.
We just need an outlet to get it out.
Yeah.
And then if there's no outlet to get it out,
Yeah.
and it keeps happening again and again,
Yeah.
it's, even if we say, oh, we forgive this person, but if it keeps happening again and again, right?
Yeah,
It's,
even you do that, it will still coming back. It's just I explained to you the simile that even you stop reacting, it's still calm. Because like, you know, you already have the fuel, you know, the fire is burning. If you add on more fuel, it's continue to burn. If you stop adding adding more new fuel, it will still burn, but the fire will get smaller and smaller. It's just like the ball will stop. The ball will still spin, but eventually the ball will stop. So it will still come back. But you will notice that the intensity of that become weaker and weaker and weaker, eventually will disappear. But it will not go away immediately. But of course, it's always good to have this skillful way to deal with our emotion. That's why sometimes crying is okay. If you feel like crying, sit there and cry. So that's why we have tears. That is the reason why that is the fall. It's okay. That's why you see, I remember a couple of years ago, I went to this Canberra. We have this seminar. It's talk about a suicide case. And in Australia, the man suicide is very high. From 26 to 30 something is very high. Because of men tend to suppress. I mean, you don't cry. Lady is easy to relieve the emotion. A little bit they cry then. Actually, women have a longer lifespan because they don't suppress. But men, because of you can't cry, you know, like especially Chinese is really terrible, you know. There's you shed blood but not tears, you know. It's nothing wrong with men crying. Men is also human beings, you know. That is a really bad. It's really no good, you know. To keep telling condition, you know. That's why I encourage even my grandchild cry. I say, I don't say, boy, don't cry. I say, oh, never mind, you cry. You know, it's okay. You know, but it's really, you know, then the suppression actually, cry actually is a very good way to release our emotion. So not afraid of crying. I know sometimes people, you know, when they go through that, they cry a lot. Then after that, when all the emotion out, they don't cry so much. Or, you know, exercise is so good. Go to jogging, running. Or you have sandbag, you can punch the sandbag. It also can release that. But at least you release it, but not onto others, you know. You need to release. You cannot suppress. But we find a skillful way that not harming others and not harming ourselves. You have to let it out. We have to let it out. So find a skillful way to let it out. And sometimes you find a place that no one, you shout out also is you feel good. You know, you just, then you feel good, no one hear you. Then you feel much better, you know. And you have to let it out, you know, but in a skillful way. Any more questions or comments?
SN 36.6. Samyutta Nikaya 36.6. The dart or arrow.
Sounds like body temperature. Thank you, Venerable, for the talk tonight. So thanks for reminding us that when it comes to anger, right, it's also not because of the craving attached to it previously. So what I'm saying is that for this whole year, actually I've been having quite a lot of underlying anger for quite a long time. And lucky you remind me also of the craving that produced the anger, as it says. So like what brother said earlier on, sometimes you can't hold it, something happens, trigger, and you explode. So for me is that the craving that caused my anger, I don't see any way of resolving it anytime soon, which is fine. I'm resigned to it for the time being. Yes, I have to do a job. Okay, never mind. So my question is that since I still have that level of anger, right? So what you're saying is that for the time being, the best way to do it is to periodically distress ourselves, like what you said, to release the tension, so at least lower the anger a bit. If it builds up again, then just do something else, like exercise or whatever, just to bring it down. Is that correct? Until we find some other means to sort of like break the cycle of anger that we have inside. Is that correct?
Yes, but because of you then at the same time you have to start practice your present moment awareness. You have to strengthen your mind. You know, of course you have to release that. You don't allow that to build up. But at the same time, you have to strengthen your mind and develop those qualities so that you be able to really counteract, so that this anger will not overcome. Then when your mind is strong enough, you are not so easily overcome by the anger. So at the same time, yes, you have to keep this anger, not to build up. And on another hand, you have to build up your strength. You have to develop those qualities. I remember my grandson, the oldest one. So normally when he got upset, especially can't get what he wants, he got very angry. We all just let him be. So then the mother used to tell him that, 你冷静. And then he said, at the beginning he said, 我不要冷静. 我不要冷静. So then leave him alone. Then after a while, you know what he said? Whenever he got upset, then he said to the mother, 我现在需要冷静. Actually, you can brainwash him, keep telling him, because the mother keep telling him, 冷静, When he's got upset, ask him to 冷静, Then after a while, initially he said, 我不要冷静. Then after a while, he told the mother, 我要冷静. And then he sit aside. I remember he come to Australia, and then one day he was very upset, and then we will sit there. So dealing with it, sit quietly. He do it. This is how he deal with his anger. Actually, you can train them from young, to deal. So he will sit there, get very upset. Then I know that he really upset. Then we all let him be. We don't talk to him. We just let him sit there and getting very angry and just sit like that. And then after a while, I was thinking that maybe his anger already subside, Then I go close and talk to him. He said, Grandma, I'm not over yet. Leave me alone. I'm not over yet, he said. It's good that it's a skillful way. You just let it out. He just sit there, and then because then I said okay. I said okay. I said I go away. I said I let you be okay. I told him. I said okay. I let him be. So yeah, actually, and this is how, because each time the parents keep telling him that, ask him to calm down. Initially, and then this is how brainwash, but in a good way, Keep telling him that you need to calm down. You need to 冷静, and then he really go in after a while, brainwash, and after a while he himself say he want to 冷静. 我要冷静.
Thank you very much. So I guess also another thing is that at the same time, other than present moment awareness, also we learn to slowly let go of the craving that produced the anger in the first place.
Yeah, and develop those qualities, to strengthen the mind. And then on the other hand, we have to keep the anger in check, in check. And this is how we keep it in check, and then we keep developing and strengthen our mind so that it's strong enough. Then this anger will not easily overcome by this anger. This is how it's not like you have to. The Buddhist teaching is like that. We not only have to deal with that, have to keep that in check, but also we have to build up our strength. We have to develop those qualities to counteract the antidotes to this. There's some other qualities we have to develop.
But I think there's some people who also, on the flip side, like I said earlier, like to use anger as a fuel for their justification of their well-being, of their identity, especially also as a way of bring out their confidence. So saying how constantly keeping their anger up in order to just feel more empowered, if you want to put it that way, especially in dangerous situation, especially in the office. I think some of us experience kind of situation. So how do we, I sort of went past that already, but I got some friends who are actually going through this now. So how do we advise friends who are holding on to the anger as their source of identity to ask them to just let go?
And unless the person can see that this is not a good way of doing it, and it's very difficult, you can give advice that won't listen. It's actually ultimately have to come from that person that realize it themselves, that causes me suffering, and they themselves willing to do the work. Because sometimes they won't listen. It's not receptive. Always have to come from that person willingness. Even though we would love to help them, but they have to help themselves. If they're not willing to help themselves, even the Buddha right in front of him also can't help him.
Thank you, Venerable.
Okay. Any more questions coming? Okay. Okay. Gone. 2 hours almost.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.